Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Pitch Please. This is episode 5 that we're going into. As always, I'm your host, Alex.
I'm Troy, and we're both filmmakers and screenwriters, so we like to talk about movies, and we like to pick some good movies, some bad movies, some movies in the middle, and talk about the good and the bad and how we would fix them.
Yeah, no, you've been here with us before. Welcome back. If you're brand new, we're happy to have you here. Go check out some of our earlier episodes. They're pretty fun. We like them a lot, so go check them out. But yeah, we're here to just enjoy talking about movies and trying to have fun pitching something else. And yeah, we're not saying that we're right or wrong. We're just here to, offer our own thoughts on movies. So
Right, and then at the end, what we'll do is we'll either pitch a remake if we weren't huge fans of the movie, or we'll pitch a sequel if we like the movie and we try to come up with a good idea.
yeah, that's right. So let's jump into it on this 5th episode of Pitch Please.
This episode of Pitch Please, we're going to do 22 Jump Street. This is one of our guilty pleasures.
Yes.
For sure.
Big time.
Here's the movie stats for you. It was produced by Jonah Hill, Neil Moritz, and Channing Tatum, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Screenplay was by Michael Bacall, Oren Uziel, I believe,
Yeah, I think so.
and Rodney Rothman. The cinematography was by Barry Peterson, editing by Keith Brackman and David Rennie. PD or production design by Steve Sacklid. And it stars Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, Ice Cube, and Amber Stevens. Budget on this one was relatively small for these days. It was $50 million and came out of June of 2014. It grossed domestically $191.7 million and worldwide did $331.3 million.
Yeah.
And this is actually a sequel to 21 Jump Street, which was a spin-off from the TV show from back when I was a kid, growing up. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So if you haven't seen the movie already, again, go check it out. This movie is absolutely hilarious.
We think so.
21 and 22 Jump Street. We can't stop laughing, but it's also kind of our type of humor, so
Yeah, all right.
enjoy it. But so I'll go over the synopsis if you haven't seen it already. After their success in the 21 Jump Street program, Schmidt, who's played by Jonah Hill, and Janko, by Channing Tatum, are reassigned to 22 Jump Street to investigate the drug Wi-Fi after it leads to the death of a student. They go undercover as college students, where Janko bonds with a pair of jocks, Zook and Rooster, while Schmidt pursues a relationship with an art student named Maya, unaware that she is their captain's daughter. Tensions rise between Schmidt and Janko as they struggle to find leads, eventually leading to a key clue in a tattoo to help them identify the drug dealer. But that investigation gets kind of complicated by personal issues and strains their partnership because it turns out the guy who had this tattoo, Zook, who Janko is becoming very, very close with. The duo investigation leads them to a confrontation with Ghost, who is a drug dealer, and then ends up with a big final chase that ensues during spring break down in Puerto Mexico. Schmidt and Janko manage to capture the Ghost and take down his operation. And Janko, like in the first movie, ends up taking a bullet for Schmidt. And despite the differences, they are able to reconcile after mission success, with Janko coming back to the police force because he decided to leave. And then in the aftermath, they're given their next undercover mission as med school, and then there's a whole long list of different Jump Streets coming up.
Right.
And then it's 22 Jump Street in a nutshell.
Very good. So, opening hook is great in this movie. It's a lot of fun. It looks just like a Michael Bay Golden Hour, fancy cars, Transformers, opening with
Got the gold Desert Eagles.
Schmidt and
Why not?
Janko getting ready to go on a bus. But, they were like right out in the open and stuff.
I
So
love it so much.
it was pretty funny.
So great.
And so, one of those funny moments is when they meet up with the drug dealers. They don't have a plan, kind of like us. And
Yeah.
And so they're going to improvise. And one of the positives of this movie and this scene is that Schmidt, pretends to be Hispanic, and Janko does not like to improvise at all. And Schmidt just forces him to improvise all this stuff. And then he breaks the rule of improvisation because there are rules to improv.
Yes.
And one of the rules is you can't tell someone that they're wrong. That's a rule.
You don't say no.
You don't say, no, that's not right.
Correct.
But he literally does it to him. He's like, no, that's not the real story. Tell the real story with all this detail. And he just is so bored. You go with that. So I thought that was really good writing, for sure. The writing in this movie, we just find really, really spot on.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like in this type of movie and in this particular movie, you just kind of wonder what's actually written and what's improvised.
Yeah.
Because they have so many moments that seem so genuine. And like it does kind of seem like they're finding something or maybe tried something in a different taste, and it can add a lot to like a movie like this when you're actually doing improvisation as well as having scripted stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But it's fun to kind of hear like, wow, did they write that or was that just like a on the spot,
Yeah.
tough in the moment type thing.
So props to the writers on this because there's actually a number of things that are said in this movie and shown in this movie that play into this meta joke, like this whole meta joke. Like in the opening scene, the bad guys drive off in a semi, and Schmidt and Janko are on the semi. The semi's name is Con, like convict.
C-O-N.
Yeah, so that was pretty funny. And then it goes on to when they meet up with their police chief to set up the story after the opening hook. Basically, the police chief tells them nobody thought this would work. And what he's doing is he's referencing the first movie.
Yes.
Everyone thought this wouldn't work. Nobody believed in you. Now they believe in you, and we just want you to do the exact same thing. And at 9 minutes and 30 seconds in, the chief describes exactly the type of relationship that they're going to go through in the movie. And then he says he says that because he's going through a divorce. And that just sets up the whole movie.
Right. Well, that is the whole movie.
It is the movie.
Like literally, they say exactly what happens in the film at that particular moment, and then it happens, and it unfolds that way. And it's like it's one of those things where you watch it a second time, and then you realize, like, oh my gosh, everything he said was gonna happen happens in the way he said it was gonna happen, and it's such a great joke. It's such a great payoff because it happens to be the whole movie.
Right, it is.
I love
the
it
whole movie.
so much.
Yeah. So we really like this a lot. The whole idea of infiltrate the dealer, find the supplier,
Yeah.
and then they go around just trying to find. We're not going to recap the whole movie because we would take too long to do that. But
Yeah, honestly, just so you all are aware, we're kind of doing this on a little differently because we don't have really that many constructed on this. We just find it a great movie, and one of the reasons is because with comedy, it's so easy to make any little imperfections or things like that work as a part of the joke, especially when they're doing like this meta thing. So I just wanted to establish that because there's not going to be a lot of criticisms on this because
no.
again, like they make fun of themselves in a meta way. It's kind of like Deadpool and stuff like that before they made Deadpool, I think.
I think so. Yeah.
And so it's just we don't have too much in the negative aspect of things. So
Right. So some positives in it. Like they have a football tryout, and Janko has a Q-tip, and this new guy has a meat sandwich in the middle of a tryout, and they bump into each other, and he drops his Q-tip in the meat sandwich, and it becomes a meat cute, which is a little bit of a stretch, but still, it's pretty clever, like how do you come up with the creativity with the idea of like, let's make a meat cute and let's make it kind of meta.
well, I think Janko calls it a meet Q, like
Meat cute, he does.
like,
calls it
yeah,
meat
like QUE or whatever instead of meet cute.
Yeah.
So like it's just one letter off, but or meet CUE whatever. So like it's just so great.
And then that was at minute 27 when the meet cute happens, and this becomes Janko's quote, bromance alternate love interest, because Janko and Schmidt are in this bromance, so to speak, right? And then Janko meets this new guy, Zook, right? And they're basically, at one point, somebody comments that they're like two guys with one brain, which is a rip on them, but it's like they think alike, exactly alike, and they're two guys.
Each share half a
They
brain.
each share half a brain. That is right, and that was supposed to be a compliment, but it was pretty funny.
Well, that's another thing too that again they establish in this that for me was really funny is just their whole idea of their relationship is like a romantic relationship, and then they treat it like Janko is cheating on Schmidt, which it is so funny because again they're partners as cops.
Yeah.
But then their bromance and friendship is also treated and seen by many people around. It's like a romantic thing too.
Yeah.
And it just again it adds to the comedy.
Yeah, and their relationship is the investigation. So when they refer to that
Yes.
relationship, or when they refer to the investigation, they're referring to the relationship. Like, I think we should investigate other people.
Maybe I want to have an open investigation.
Yeah, open investigation. Well,
talk about?
I don't know what I want, and it's just real funny, and it plays into the classic jokes not classic jokes, but the classic romance.
Yeah.
How romances go bad, and it just makes a lot of fun with it. But I really loved one thing that we didn't catch before, but we caught this time was at minute 35. One of the football players that they're investigating has a tattoo, but they don't know what it is. His name is Rooster, and they ask him, "Hey, what's that a tattoo of?" And Rooster goes, "Oh, this is a tattoo from my old high school, the Plainview Red Herrings." So he had like a red herring tattooed on the inside of his arm. And we're like, wait a minute. So he's a red herring in plain view.
Yep.
And never caught that before.
No, me either.
So clever. Just, Alex, you're going to just laugh through this whole thing.
I am because it's so funny.
Yeah.
And and then immediately after finding out it's the Plainview Red Herrings, we find out Zook has the tattoo that they're looking for after Janko's become all like buddy bros with him. But what I did catch too is that Rooster said it's the Plainview Red Herrings plural. Mm-hmm. And that in my mind just meant like both the tattoos are red herrings. So they find the tattoo that they're looking for, but in the end, Zook's not their guy.
Right.
It is a red herring, and so it's like the Plainview Red Herrings. It's just the tattoos are all red herrings.
So many of the things, you don't catch them until, further review.
Right.
And as a filmmaker, as filmmakers, we and almost every filmmaker, because you want to do something of value. So, and you want to stay interested. So you do things that will be callbacks, and you do things that are like little, I don't want to say Easter eggs per se, but things that are, really cool in your movie, and people they just don't see it, and then when you have to explain to them, like, oh wow, that's really interesting, I didn't know that, there's so many things. And we watched this movie many times.
Many
And
times.
never caught Plainview Red Herrings.
Pretty great. Jumping back just a little bit in the movie too, one of my favorite scenes is they have this open mic night, slam poetry. And that's kind of where we establish the relationship with Schmidt and his girl Maya. And that's kind of where they start to talk a little bit and stuff like that. And again, it's just, it's such a funny scene because, again, it's one of those moments where you wonder if Jonah Hill just improv that.
I imagine he probably did.
Because again,
It feels improv.
And it does feel improv, and the way that he got to do it, I mean, it works so well, so perfectly for the scene. It's like slam poetry, yelling, like just
Waving my hands.
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh man, they just did some really really fun stuff. And again, it was a great way to introduce him to this love interest character who comes back later and gives them definitely some talking points.
Absolutely. And then the part where Schmidt is clearly the woman in the relationship, the woman like type character, because several times in the movie there was the walk of shame. If you've been to college, Sunday morning, Saturday morning, there's girls walking home from wherever they were, and that was funny. They did that twice in there, and that was really pretty funny. But then I tell you what, one of the great moments too is when he actually. So Maya is the captain's daughter,
Right.
And the captain doesn't like Schmidt to start with, and then he says Schmidt tells him I had sex with this girl, and they get excited about it, and then later the captain finds out that it was his daughter. It's pretty funny, and then the reaction that Janko does. I always felt like that's pretty genuine reaction from Tatum.
I don't know how he did that because he gets so into it and laughs so genuinely hard. I was mad respect there because I love that laugh so much. But when when Schmidt finds out he's dating the captain's daughter, I love that scene so much too because again they're both trying to maintain cover, yet he just wants IQ wants to kill him.
Yeah, as they find out at the Parents' Day
You
weekend.
two know each other? No.
Yeah.
It's such great tension in the scene, and just you don't know what's gonna happen. Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
And then we find out later that the two guys across the hall said that Cynthia, the girl who died, actually had given them a buttload of Wi-Fi, that's the drug, for doing their paper. But they're literally telling the audience, which we didn't catch either.
Right.
It's like, Cynthia, why would anyone give it for free unless they were a dealer? So that was actually like a plain sight clue that Cynthia was the dealer because
And they
she
didn't
had
pick
some-
up on it.
And they didn't pick up on it.
Not for a long time.
Right.
But yeah, again, leaving these little clues along the way, which is really great.
Yeah.
They had another just funny little thing. The first football game that Janko plays in because he makes the football team. They say they're playing the University of College Generals.
General College, University of College Generals, and his team is called the Metro City State College.
Just
Metro City.
the most generic names you could ever get, and it's all part of the joke. It's
all
just
part of the joke.
love it so much.
And then also,
man.
remember the when they were playing football, calling out the plays instead of like blue 32, they were going color, number, color.
I'd never caught that before.
I never caught that before.
Until this particular watch. It was so funny.
It was funny. Color, number. So very clever writing, and I think that's tricky. But how freeing would it be just to write something that is just on the nose comedy because
Right.
that's the joke.
Literally, it's like what you would write as the placeholder in your script just becomes the script.
Yeah, right. Your placeholder.
I wrote a bunch of stuff with placeholders. Let's just make it a comedy and just leave it as color, number, color.
University College Generals. Very good.
It's so great.
There's some great stuff too when Zook is like, what's his thing? We think that his thing is selling drugs. He's like, we can let him in on our thing. He can be a part of our thing. And Zook was saying to Janko, like, I know what I'm doing. And it turns out he's just making a highlight tape for a football recruit.
To transfer, yeah.
Transfer to another school.
Yeah.
And that was played up pretty well.
And then they get into more just really funny meta commentary with they find out that Ghost, this dealer that they met at the beginning, is kind of there behind the stuff, and so then they have this big expensive car chase through the campus after being told that they cannot spend and waste any more of the police department's money.
Because they spent it all early on.
Yeah, and they talk about like the different things that happen in the movie. You had a big car chase in the beginning, all that expensive equipment. I've got a giant office, just like all these different things. And then again, it's just a total meta thing.
Yeah. And then they're like, they could go to the parking lot or drive through the robotics lab or so. Or no, the art. They could go
sculpture garden.
in the car chase. They could go through the sculpture garden, the expensive sculpture garden, or the parking lot. And of course, they go through the sculpture garden. Then they go through the robotics lab and talk about how expensive.
So many things.
One of the great meta things too in there was when Schmidt is watching through a secret camera, Janko working out with Zook, and they're working out and they're working out, so they're making noises. And Schmidt is acting like he's watching them having sex, like, like you would see in a movie, like he's cheating on them. Yeah, they're not. They're working out.
They're working out.
They're both, doing chest press, I think, or something. And so just really creative writing there. We're trying to play into the whole romance and twisting it in there.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it's kind of talking about our favorite moments and stuff like this because it's so well done comedically that it's really, really hard to kind of find anything wrong with it. The only thing that I kind of had an issue was towards the end. They're in spring break. They kind of figured out, like, they thought they caught the guy, said they caught the guy that was just like in the first one, but both Schmidt and Janko think that it's not the right guy, and they both kind of figure out some information that something big's going to happen down at spring break. So they go down there, and they find Ghost and this other chick who's been kind of bothering them throughout. And so
Cynthia's old roommate.
yeah, Cynthia's old roommate, who ends up as the supplier, which again makes sense that Cynthia was a dealer because she was rooming with this chick and stuff. And so,
Infiltrate the dealer, find the supplier.
yep, they did both. They did, in fact, do both. But there happened, like, in this big chase, at one point, Schmidt and Mercedes is the girl's name. They end up kind of fighting, and it turns into this kind of weird moment of she tries to kiss him, and then they're like, "What are you doing? Are we fighting or kissing?" and stuff like that. That just went on way too long for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way too long.
The joke, so I call it the balloon, right?
Yeah.
Where whether it's a shot or a joke or a scene, everything has a balloon, right? And you have to fill up your balloon. If you don't put enough air in a balloon, it looks like if you don't put enough air in a balloon, it looks like a shrivelly mess. If you put too much air in a balloon, you pop your balloon. So everything you want to do, you want to have just the right amount of length, the right amount of time, you get a nice blown up balloon. And so this joke of they're like fighting, but then she's trying to hit on him was funny. And then it kept going. And it kept going. And then he even took a moment where he's like just tapping her on her head with a plastic bottle. And boy, it went on way too long.
Yeah. One thing I would have just
Pop
like,
the balloon.
yeah, it did pop a balloon. Again, just easy fix. You cut that down a little bit. And then with the whole bottle tap, like, what she smacks him in the face like 2 or 3 times with like glass bottles, shattering him. And then he's like tapping her on the head with like a plastic one. What would have been really funny is if like she smashes him on the head with like a glass bottle, and he takes it and he tries to hit her in the face, and it's a plastic bottle. So then she smashes him in the face with a different glass bottle, and he grabs a different one, which also happens to be plastic. Like, he's trying to grab glass bottles like she has, but he keeps grabbing plastic and she's grabbing glass. Like, that would have just been a little bit funnier, would have made it go different rather than just like tapping her a couple times in the middle of a fight.
In the middle of a fight, yeah.
Yeah, super simple fix.
So for us, we're fawning over this movie, and we're not, I mean, if you haven't seen it, you're probably like, what are they even talking about?
Yeah.
But definitely worth a watch. Just one little fix that we found in it. And let us know what you think about that.
Yeah, because again, that's the beauty about comedy, especially if you're doing a comedy that talks meta. If you do have issues, you can call it out in the film as part of the joke, and that solves all the issues.
Well, one thing that we didn't bring up was there's a great scene where they break into a psychologist, like a counselor who used to counsel Cynthia. They break into the counselor's office to try and find some clues, and then the counselor walks in, and then they end up having couples counseling about them being a partner. And, the counselor thinks they're just a couple, and they are talking like one. But they're really talking about being police partners.
Right.
But it's just very funny about, and they say all the things that people say in relationship counseling and stuff like that. So it's just really funny that way.
Yeah. And yeah, there's not really any more I can think about saying without just, going through the whole movie.
Yeah.
It's just, we really enjoy this one.
Yep.
So yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Alrighty, well, that was our thoughts on 22 Jump Street, a movie that we both very much enjoy, if you could not tell. So now we're going to pitch a sequel to 22 Jump Street. We're going to pitch 23 Jump Street Medical School. So Dad, would you like to pitch, please?
We picked medical school because that was the first lead off from the end of 22 Jump Street. And they had such a great montage of all these different schools like veterinary school, magic school, art school, school at sea,
military school.
military school.
For exchange students.
But I thought, since they ended saying you're going to go to medical school, I thought we'll just try a simple pitch, an easy pitch today about 23 Jump Street Medical School.
Yeah, just some overarching ideas.
So Schmidt and Jenko get assigned to go to medical school because there's a situation where narcotics are being stolen by someone and being sold to, they believe, the Yakuza, who is disseminating out into the public. So their job is to find who's stealing from the hospital and from the medical areas to solve that problem. Once again, infiltrate the dealers, find the supplier, and it's the same case, exact same case as before. So they go to med school and they stay in a co-ed med student house. And this time, the 22 Jump Street was them acting like they were dating. And then this one, we're going to have them act like they're newlyweds, like they've been married. So they're sharing a house with other med students. And then they're going to argue like newlyweds and act like newlyweds, trying to figure out things like chores and cooking laundry and friends coming over on bills and the kind of like the whole bickering thing. And of course, Schmidt would still be more of the feminine side of that, just to keep it fun. And so the midpoint would be that they actually have to go to the hospitals and do internships. And Jenko does surgical, and Schmidt will do medical. And Schmidt's excited to this because he gets to talk to patients and gets to share their feelings and stuff. But Jenko just wants to cut people up. The inside the house, they will connect with some girls in the house who are also in medical school. So the joke, albeit maybe distasteful, is and I'm going off the idea of the Yakuza at the end of 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
So the Yakuza is the Japanese mafia. So the joke is that all of these med schools, or a very vast majority, are of Asian heritage. And they can't tell, Jenko and Schmidt can't tell who's Japanese, who's Chinese, who's Thai, or anything like that. And they're just surrounded by people from Asia. And so they don't know who to look for or whatever. And that kind of plays into the joke of being very meta and very, very strange like that.
Oh, yeah.
So Schmidt, one funny thing was that a joke that'll keep coming up is that Schmidt will keep getting asked if he's okay, if he's a patient, because he just looks so bad and so old. And that's like a reoccurring joke. And what's going to happen is they're going to get in these relationships, and then it's going to end up being like they're each cheating on each other, like having a secret affair behind each other's back with some of these other med students that they've connected with. And so that's them playing to the relationship romance and stuff like that. And then turns out that Jenko's girlfriend ends up being a part of the Yakuza family and is supplying drugs to them from the hospital that they're working in. And it's pretty simple after that. Of course, surgical and medical, they're like two different frats, two different groups. And so that plays into the contrast as well, is that they're married, but yet one's part of surgical frat, so to speak, and the other's part of medical frat, so to speak. And they just oil and water and how they react to these things. We even thought that maybe somebody could do like a secret genetic test on Schmidt and Jenko, because they say they're brothers, they look nothing alike. And they find out that they're not brothers, and that sort of breaks their cover. And people realize that they're cops. And then, of course, the ending is just a big Yakuza, fight with the guys and people coming and try to save them. And, of course, in the end, they get everybody and save the day.
Yeah. That sounds fun to me.
It's not super elaborate, but
Yeah.
it sounds fun, and it sounds like it would be in line with something that would happen with 23 Jump Street. Always tackling these issues that are sort of like stereotypes and, things that aren't, very savory these days, being turned to being politically correct. We're not going to be politically correct, and that will add into the humor.
Sometimes I wonder if that's why these movies got stopped. Like, it made a lot of money. I wish they kept going with it. I wish they made 23 Jump Street, guys. If you're out there,
Yeah.
but we'll write it for you.
Yeah.
we got a general idea going.
Yeah, I got a general pitch going for you, but we love them and they're a lot of fun.
So awesome. That sounds pretty good to me. So yeah, thank you again for listening to another episode of Pitch Please. Just remember, these are our thoughts. Again, we didn't have a lot of constructives on this one. We were just kind of going over it, and we really, really like it. But maybe you don't like this movie. Let us know, why not? Like, we'd love to get a conversation going and stuff like that. We're on social media, so make sure that you follow us on Instagram. Our show comes out every Wednesday on YouTube or Spotify. No matter which one you like, you can do both of those. And yeah, anything else to add, sir?
They'll do it.
Awesome.
Thanks for watching episode 5 of Pitch Please.